seems like that the small group curriculum or the small group experience might be something that could be helpful.
It absolutely is, and we can't take credit for it. We kind of borrowed it from Jesus, and he kind of set the tone for us. Right?
What a great idea.
Yeah. So we figured, hey, if it's good enough for Jesus, it's good enough for FCCI. But the small groups are really our discipleship groups. It's really the heartbeat of FCCI.
Yeah.
And, when we gather on an annual basis in September, in fact, I want to invite everyone to our September conference, the 17th through 21st in Miami, Florida. When we gather there, the testimonials that we hear and the life change that's taking place in those small groups, they're transformational. Lives are being changed. Organizations, cultures are being changed. Communities are being impacted. In fact, our motto is if there's an FCCI company operating there, that community, that nation should not be the same.
We'll shift gears just a bit with respect to this book that you've written. It's called Do Your Children Believe? And the subtitle of the book is Becoming Intentional About Your Family's Faith and Spiritual Legacy. What inspired you to write this?
Well, my wife and I was on our 15th year anniversary, and we were having a great time, and I had 3 questions prepared during that time. Where have we been, where are we now, and where we're going? It seems don't seem too amazingly great, but it was a great conversation. During that conversation, she turned to me and said, are the kids prepared to defend their faith after high school? They knew who the Lord was, but were they mature enough to defend their faith? As we talked about it and debate about it, the response came back, no, we don't feel that they're prepared to defend their faith. So she turned to me and said, well, what are you going to do about it?
Nothing like putting you on the spot there.
So I said, wait a minute, you're the spiritual leader of the home. What are you going to do about it, right? And she said, well, I'm not the spiritual leader of the home. You should be. You abdicated that to me in the church.
But she had you there.
Oh, she had me little handcuffs there. So that kind of started the journey about some 10 plus years ago, 15 years ago now. And as I began to think through, I took some experiences that I had in corporate America, and I began to apply those to this solution. How we're going to train these kids in the Lord, and how we're going to bring them up this way. And I remember as I look back on my business experience, what vision do you have? In this case, what vision do you have for your family? What's the mental image? We're not trying to make disciples when they're 5 years old. We're making disciples when they become 20 years old. And so I began to look at do I have a vision statement for my family? Do I have a mission, which is a way to achieve the vision? Do I have goals and values? What are my core values? What's the family's core values? None of that's being defined. How do we put this on paper? Because what's on paper gets done typically. And so as I began to look at this and put this together, we began to put in small group training for really discipleship for our own family. And we started doing devotionals on a weekly basis and every other week. And 8 to 9, we have devotion times. And the beauty is we still have devotion times today. And our kids are in the 20s, 30s. So
wow,
this continues. Well, anyway, that prompted the need as we were getting out, and we started training parents all around the world. We trained over, they say 30,000 churches and over thousands, hundreds of thousands of parents. And so they said, well, you need a book. I said, I don't want to write a book. But it comes down to we wanted to put some pen to paper and prayer, and that penned this book, Do Your Children Believe?